Major tournament in 12 years, overcoming China PR 2-1 in Perth on Tuesday night. Hello and welcome to another special Asian Cup edition of Dub Zone. Joining me in the studio is Ninja A-League commentator Pellizzeri and for the first time this season, former Matildas striker and young Matildas assistant coach Cannuli. Welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here, Amy.
Great to have you both on board, Knowles. An improved performance by the Matildas overnight, particularly in defence, which kept the defending champions at bay.
Absolutely. You can see the never say die spirit really coming out, and they're really starting to get a lot of momentum, as this tournament goes on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing an even better performance in the final.
Yeah, we'll get the chance to watch that now. And Teo, we were expecting a very physical encounter against China, and that is how it turned out. The Steel Roses picking up 3 yellow cards along with 13 fouls, but they surely didn't shy away from the contest, did they?
No, Australia, I think, were able to capitalise on what I think were some interesting tactical choices by China to play such an open end-to-end game. It suited Australia down to the ground. How much of that was Australia exerting their will on the game and how much of that was maybe China to making the wrong decisions? I guess that's why we've got an expert like Cannuli here to break it down for us. But I thought that they were deserving winners on a night where they got a lot right and China, frankly, didn't.
Well, the statistics tell a story, but the only one that matters is, of course, the goals. Let's unpack those. Starting with this one, Caitlin Foord's first goal of the tournament and 40th for Australia. This hitting the back of the net in the 17th minute. Knowles, some great build-up there down the right flank. Ellie Carpenter getting the ball and linking up nicely with Mary Fowler. This pinpoint cross to the penalty spot is the difference maker, though, isn't it?
It really is, but you've got to start with the run from Ellie Carpenter, the way that she just turns on the speed burners there and the ball from Mary Fowler here. She knows exactly the dangerous area that she wants to put this ball in, and the way that Caitlin Foord gets in front of her defender there, body over the ball, the way that she hits that, absolute world class.
We often see players whipping it in from the byline, but the cutback's important. Why? Because what does it do to the defenders?
It takes the defenders out of the game. They don't realise they have to change their positioning, and the cutback is probably one of the most dangerous crosses in world football.
And we got that one right, that's for sure. The Matildas' lead was cancelled out inside 10 minutes, though, when Mackenzie Arnold was judged to have pulled down Shang Lin Yang in the penalty area. Was Mackenzie Arnold hard done by here, team?
I mean, she was hard done by because the way a referee and a VAR are going to adjudicate this once the on-field call is made makes it very unlikely that VAR is going to come to your rescue. Did the Chinese player look for the contact? Did they milk the penalty? Yes. Was it explicitly a dive that VAR is going to come over the top of and overrule? I'm not so sure.
I think she knows that she's going to make contact with Mackenzie Arnold there. She knows exactly what she's doing. They're born to do this in world football, especially you'll see it across all Asian countries as well. But I think Maka, she had her hands in the air. She's saying, I didn't touch her. She didn't latch out with her arms, but her body obviously made contact.
That's right, her hands didn't touch the player, but her body was in the way, and that's what it have deemed to be impeding. And of course, Zhang converting from the penalty spot to level at 1-1, neatly taken penalties, sending Maka the wrong way. Never ideal, but we're back on level playing at this point in the game. Early in the second half, we were treated to a moment of magic from the Matildas captain, Sam Kerr. But it all started in the defensive third, thanks to some terrific work by Caitlyn Torpy. Talk us through this.
I think here it just goes to show how hungry the Matildas were. You can see there, Sam Kerr comes quite deep to be able to regain the ball. She drops it off to Caitlin there, and then her run as she goes to start to go forward. She had nothing else in her mind but to make that run in behind that defence. She knew exactly what she was doing. If you can see the quality of her run here, the way she runs straight and then darts in behind that defender there, knowing that's where she's going to create the space, that she's going to be able to take this goalkeeper on. absolute world class. And you can just say Sam Kerr is a big moments player, and she stands up for the Matildas when we need her.
I mean, one of, if not the best player in the world, scores a great goal, and the Matildas, due to the quality of their finishing, have beaten two teams that had, in North Korea's case, lots of possession and territory. In China's case, lots of physicality, but two pop gun attacks, really. And the point of difference that Australia brought into this tournament is showing out the higher the stakes get.
Yeah, because China obviously had more shots on target, but Australia really took their chances when they counted. Head coach Joe Montemuro was full of praise for his veteran striker.
Top strikers or top forwards are ones that, can manage the moments in the game and understand that moment that, OK, I'm not involved because the game's a bit long or the game's, I'm not getting the service, but when that moment comes, she takes that chance. And that's a sign of a top forward, because now it's getting harder and harder for forwards to play because defenders are so good, teams are so tactically astute. It's not just, OK, I'm a forward and I've got to score goals. Sometimes, her link-up play, her ability to even take defenders away, her ability to come short, her ability to attack the line, it's complete, So, we all see the goals, but watch the movement off the ball. Watch the movement off the ball of a world-class player. That's the making of a world-class player.
Coach Joe Montemuro talking about our striker Sam Kerr there, and it's wonderful to see her growing in confidence throughout this tournament. Teo, last game, post-game, she talked about building in confidence and getting back to her best. Following this game, Sam talked about how she is one of the best strikers in the world and she feels like she's out there proving that now. Yeah,
and we're seeing a consistent run of games. At Women's World Cup, Sam was battling injury, only comes back at the end, still scores an amazing goal in the semi-final. So now we're actually seeing a body of work. She's had different challenges, longer injuries that have kept her out for this comeback trail. But nothing changes with Sam. We saw it with her form at Chelsea immediately before this tournament. She just scores goals. She is just better than other players, smarter than other defenders. And the one big thing that Sam has done now that she's in the prime years of her career compared to when she was back in the old W League, is she's a lethal finisher. Because frankly, she wasn't when she was here, but working on her game, taking it to the next level, is one chance you score, impossible angle, and sure enough, Australia goes through on the back of it.
And I think also spending all these years in England, playing with and against, world-class players, you need to be able to, really, earn your trade. And she's done just that. Her finishing ability, she's only getting, a small amount of chances, but when she does get the chance, she does execute it and put the ball in the back of the net. And I think the other great thing is that we've seen her score with her left foot, her right foot, her head. That is what makes her so great.
And second only to Alana Kennedy in the Golden Boot race at the moment, and certainly for Australia. Let's talk about at the other end of the field. Probably a surprise to the lineup with Steph Catley moving into centre-back, and Caitlyn Torpy we thought would make way for Steph Catley at left-back, but in the end she ended up starting and they moved Catley into the centre. Why did you think that change happened?
I think Joe really knew that he had to put his best team out to go out and beat China on the day. And I think looking overall, I think Torpy had a phenomenal game the game before. He knows that he can trust her. She done exactly what the team needed of her and she executed it perfectly. So I thought, he puts Catley in the centre of the fence where he knows that at the end of the day, Steph Catley is a world-class defender, but he had to put his best players forward.
And he did that, and she maintained her position in the starting 11 and was instrumental in the Sam Kerr goal. Up and down the flank as well, but in this moment, playing a game to remember on her 26th birthday as well, Teo, involved in everything, including the lead up to the goal here. And I just wanted to say, it's a split-second moment that changed the game. The grit, the fight, the never say die attitude. We ask players to go out on the field and give us 100%. She could have pressured, she could have pressed and just turned the player around in that moment. But instead, she went all in, won the ball, and it led to Sam Kerr's goal.
It's because Caitlyn Torpy fundamentally came through as a fullback and a defender. You say it was her 26th birthday. I remember her first season in the W League. Mel Andretta, Belinda Wilson, one of the two was coaching Brisbane Roar. And Caitlyn Torpy, as a 16-year-old, is marking Francisca Ordega, who just signed for Sydney FC as their mid-season marquee, Nigerian international, fresh off a World Cup. And here's 16-year-old Caitlyn Torpy out on a wing, defensive fundamentals, learn how to defend. Like, that pass to Mary Fowler is great, but picking fullbacks on the basis of what they can do pushing forward forgets the defensive fundamentals. And Caitlyn Torpy creates a goal through winning a slide tackle because she is primarily a defender first. And that is why it wasn't a surprise to me at all that Joe Montemuro picked her, because ultimately your fullbacks need to know how to defend.
Putting her body on the line, giving 100% every time she goes out there, Teo. Let's now hear some more reaction from our Matildas, starting with Caitlin Foord, who celebrated a goal and an assist against China PR.
It was nice to be in control this time. Last game I didn't think we were so much in control, but we got the job done. But tonight we were in control and we got the job done. So, yeah, just really proud of all the girls.
I think it's just all about focusing on ourselves, cleaning up the things we didn't do that well today, focus on recovery and just get ready to go again. Hopefully Sydney bring the crowd and, yeah, we pull through.
It would honestly mean everything. We've talked about it for ages. This is a dream of ours, and these girls are like family to me. So it would be a dream come true, but enjoy tonight, think of the win tonight, and then think about the final and tomorrow.
Enjoying the win. Final thoughts on China as they bow out of the competition? No third-place game.
No third-place game, so it's their equal, arguably their equal worst ever finish at a Women's Asian Cup. But I wanted to ask about why they kind of engaged Australia in such an end-to-end transitional game. We know that this is where the Matildas can look so good, and we had the more lethal strikers. The more chances add up, the more likely it is Australia's going to score. How much of that did you put down to Australia imposing their will on the game versus China letting it happen, or maybe even wanting it to happen? And then the follow-on to that is, will we be so lucky that our final opponent may wish to engage in a similar style of game?
I think you could see with China, they came out to execute a plan that probably we haven't seen more regularly of them in this tournament, and they wanted to change it up. I think one of the biggest thing that was probably difficult for them was they had one day that was less rest as well than the Australian team, but they also, played 120 minutes there as well, which is always a lot difficult. But you can't go against Australia and trying to play more of that transitional game. You know that the Aussies have got the physicality to be able to combat that as well.
Well, there you go. Through to the final, and China bows out now. Let's have a look at the Matildas' progression through to the decider. 2-1 wins over Korea DPR in the quarterfinal and then China PR in the semi-final. The Tillies will take on the winner of Korea Republic and Japan, who play their semi-final in Sydney on Wednesday night. Then the decider will be played on Saturday night at Stadium Australia in Sydney. Kick-off there at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time with a pre-game show on 10 and Paramount Plus from 7 Eastern. Pretty exciting stuff as we look ahead, but let's remind you of the goals from the Korea Republic match. The final group game, which ended 3-3, a brace to Ilona Kennedy and Sam Kerr also scoring here. Some pretty amazing stuff, but also opening up a couple of vulnerabilities in the Matildas' defence.
I guess the fascination is that Korea have had this match. If they get past Japan, it'll be only the second time they've made the final. They've never won the trophy, so they're here on a mission. But Japan haven't had a tough game yet. And this was the one thing I flagged coming into the tournament, that they were going to be able to sleepwalk, moonwalk, catwalk their way into the semi-final before they actually get a tough opponent. And that is the great mystique that surrounds the semi-final, because if Japan win as impressively as they have done in the previous 4 games, then Australia is going to be a very legitimate underdog going into this final, relying on the crowd, the momentum, and maybe a bit of the inner belief that they've been able to build through the tournament.
Korea will be a different challenge for Japan, though.
Absolutely. I think Korea has been fantastic in this tournament as well. And like you said, Teo, I totally agree. Japan really haven't been tested in this tournament, and that's not always easy going into a massive match, a semi-final match. There's a lot of pressure on. I think it's going to be a difficult game, and I think it can really go either way here.
Dare I ask for a score prediction?
Oh, no, I'm just looking forward to a contest. I've commentated 7 games at this Women's Asian Cup, Amy. I haven't had both teams score in any of them. So I'd love to use the word equaliser for the first time in the tournament.
Kath?
I can't wait to be right beside Teo in this game, commentating the game. And I think it's going to be an exciting one. I think there's going to be goals, and I think there's going to be plenty of action from both teams.
Hear that? No digging in there with a score. Very unbiased commentary, just how we like it. All right, let's shift our attention to the young Matildas as we catch up with Adelaide goalkeeper Ilona Melegh ahead of the Under-20 Asian Cup.
Adelaide United have defeated Melbourne Victory for the first time in 1,421 days.
I really like the Melbourne Victory game at home this year. Original rivalry means everything to win. I don't think we've won against them for a while, so that was really good to get that win.
Shevsky's delivery, the header, great save Melegh. Kayla Morrison was there and forced a piece of goalkeeping brilliance out of the 17-year-old.
They needed a fill-in keeper for my WNPL reserves team at Adelaide Uni, so I was like, I guess I've played cricket so I can catch a ball, so I was like, I can try, I can give it a shot. I didn't really have any goalkeeper training, I just went straight in there. I think we were down the bottom of the ladder, and then we finished winning the grand final with me in goals. And then the NTC coach, Michaela Lestella, he said that, yeah, come train with us. And then he told me there, I still wasn't too sure if I wanted to do it. And then he told me I look like a goalkeeper, play like a goalkeeper, and act like a goalkeeper. So I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a try. And then lucky I did. And then Mum got a call from Adrian Stenter, the old Adelaide United women's coach, and was like, would like to have her train with us. And then, yeah, from their youth contract to now, I guess.
She's pretty special. One thing about Illy is that she's brave. She's brave with the saves that she makes. She's brave in the way in which she communicates to the group, but also the way in which she plays out. Playing out from the back, you know, we talk about it a lot, but she executes under pressure, and she's the first one. If something doesn't go away, she rebounds from that really quickly. And she with the other keepers have got a nice bond. They train well together. They're all performing well, and I enjoy seeing that.
To be able to represent my country in that, nothing beats it. Putting on the green and gold is a major honour.
How did this stay out? Collins has passed through and blocked by Ilona Melegh. What a good save.
I think it's sort of a mixture with, my coach Theo backing me in. I've been able to just play really freely, how I like to play, being sometimes a little bit risky on the ball.
Plenty of pressure on the young goalkeeper here.
Yeah, he said if I make a mistake, he'll take it, but he just wants me to play like myself and, be brave.
Now Pellizzeri delivers. It's a high floating ball and great grab from Melegh, proving exactly why she's come into this Adelaide United side. She might have hurt herself in the process though.
I think leadership can be a big one. It's hard being a bit younger around the United girls, and even here still being one of the younger ones, but yeah, leadership definitely. Communication, bravery, to be getting hit with the ball sometimes can be a bit scary, but yeah, you just got to love it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a world of its own, isn't it? Goalkeeping, especially in the Ninja A-League. Ilona Melegh there, Adelaide United and young Matildas, a goalkeeper. And who better to talk about it than the assistant coach of the team? Tell us what it's like having Ilona in the squad. And of course, you've got a big tournament to come in April.
We sure do. It's only around the corner for us now, but Illy is just unbelievable. She's such, first and foremost a great person, but an unbelievable goalkeeper. And to see her now be able to, really take that #1 spot for Adelaide United, and she's been absolutely smashing it. But it's exactly what Alexa Parkes has said. She's brave, she's phenomenal on the ball. The way that she can play out from the back with her feet as well. It's an extra player for us in defence, and she can be risky. I can tell you that my heart sometimes is on the floor, on the sideline with what she does with the ball, but it's like having that extra player playing out, and she's just unbelievable.
We have got some vision of you on the sideline, Kath, and exactly how you react. But of course, Ilona picking football over cricket, and Alexa Parkes talking about her resilience a little earlier. But here you are, assistant coach. What is it like being part of this setup?
Look, I've absolutely loved this role. When Alexa Parkes called me to bring me into this role, it was a no-brainer to say yes straight away. I didn't hesitate at it. I've absolutely loved being on the park coaching, but I think most of all I've been loving being a mentor to these young players coming through. They are so professional. They are hard workers on and off the pitch. They're always asking, what can they do better? How can they improve? My huddle in camps is always going off for players, sending clips on what ways that they can improve on. And they're just a special group. And I just really think, you know, heading to Thailand next week and starting to prepare for our Asian Cup, we really do have a special group that we can do something special over there.
The senior Matildas are obviously where all these players dream to end up, but maybe a better comparison would be the under-20 boys, because they won their under-20 Asian Cup this time last year, and they did it with a team that had had a lot more exposure to senior football in the men's A-League. Now, many of these players are weekly 90-minute players or coming off the bench and quite regular contributors in the A-League women's. And the under-20s team hasn't always had that luxury, both when the league was smaller in terms of the number of teams, but also the game time afforded to players in this age group. So are you noticing a difference in terms of playing against adults, getting the rhythm of A-League women's football, and how that's maybe having a bearing on preparing for a tournament like this?
Absolutely spot on, Teo. That's been such a great thing for us to be able to look at every week. I get the minutes of what the girls are playing, to be able to see that players are, you know, playing big minutes in a competitive league is a big tick for us. But also on the other hand is, you know, we have had a couple of, you know, big injuries as well and a couple of setbacks in some key areas. But overall, for those girls being able to play in the Ninja A-League week in, week out and be tested against senior players is a massive advantage going into this tournament.
I mean, when you heard about the Indy Dos Santos injury, which actually happened in camp, you know, Grace Kuilamu suffering her second ACL, I mean, those are devastating, but it must warm your heart to see that in the absence of important players like that, someone like Peter Trimmis is actually taking the league by storm this season, because, you know, this team has got a lot of areas where it's been diminished by injury, but by the same token, you've got other players who are stepping up.
Absolutely spot on, yeah. Look, we have, you know, plenty of girls in those areas that can actually step up, and I think Peter Trimmis is probably the number one player at the moment in the Ninja A-League. She's absolutely smashing it at the moment, her confidence, and that's exactly what we need going into tournament mode, and to be able to have, you know, players that are playing regularly that can actually step up when a major player is, you know, left out. That's a huge plus for us.
Junior Matildas, young Matildas and Matildas all built in the A-League, which is where we're going to head now. And if you need a refresher of this week's action, here it is.
The Ninja A-League is back with a bang. Here's the shot, and it's in from Hawkesby. And Hoban makes it 2 for the Jets. They have turned around a deficit. Hoban, clever. Hoban, fantastic.
Badawier at the top of the box. Badawier to the top bins. Taranto has worked inside the box, goes backwards, and this could be a goal. It should be. It is. Straight into the middle of the 6-yard box, and it's floating. Adelaide United, 4 wins in a row for the first time in franchise history.
She's got time to measure a ball, it's high. And she puts it into the back of the net. Heineberg makes it 2. That is so clever. Oh, so clever. It's delightful. She bangs in the third. It's 3-0, and surely 3 points to the Wellington Phoenix.
Kennedy White slipped in behind. Could she strike against the Wanderers again? Great save from Carnes, but Murphy scores on the follow-up. Victory get a precious 3 points out of the Asian Cup break.
Ball sitting high in the air. James misses it. And who else but Aideen Keane? Uchendu kept herself onside. Can she get a shot away? She does. Uchendu! Melbourne City one step closer to that premiership.
Great little celebration dance there, and great to have the Ninja A-League back as we hit the pointy end of the regular season. Here's where it leaves the team standing. City sitting pretty at the top with a 4-point buffer and a big scrap for those last spots in the top 6, Teo.
Yeah, so it's over for the Wanderers in Sydney. There's no road in for them. Newcastle, they are alive no matter what their result this weekend, but they'd love to win. That's probably the most important thing. Everyone else, there is a range of positions, and if you get hot now, you can still harbour ambitions of the top 4 and hosting an elimination final, or maybe even second spot still up for grabs, depending on how Adelaide go trying to clutch it out against Wellington.
Nils, it's great to see the league so tight at this time of the season.
It's amazing. I love watching the TV, turning it on and being able to watch the Ninja A-League, and to be able to see that if a team wins 1 or 2, they can get up top. If they lose one or two, they actually start, slipping down the bottom of the ladder as well. I think it's been fantastic. I think every game, whatever game you watch, it has been competitive. You don't know what you're going to get, and I think that is what a competition should be like.
We're going to get some great clashes in round 20 of the Ninja A-League. Here they come for you. But let's start with the top 6 battle between Canberra United and Adelaide on Sunday, because, Teo, Adelaide made it 4 wins in a row on the weekend and have really clicked into gear.
And after they play their midweek game against Melbourne City, I mean, if it's 5 wins in a row, they'll be thinking about potentially winning the premiership. But as far as the game against Canberra goes, Adelaide's first win of the season was a come-from-behind win against Canberra. At the time, they really needed it. Canberra's been a little inconsistent. I feel as though against Melbourne City, they actually missed Michelle Heyman a lot more than maybe her number of goals scored this season would reveal, Knowles. And Melbourne City were able to adjust without Holly McNamara. So what's your read on Canberra as they try to make sure that they at least finish in the top 4 to give that McKellar Park home ground advantage a shot at lifting them through a final series?
I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it's going to be a difficult one without Michelle Heyman, not just on the pitch, but also off the pitch, what she brings as a leader as well, and she really guides that group around. But look, any game these days can go any way, but at the moment with Canberra United, I 100% completely agree that they have been inconsistent, and that's probably the reason why they're not really pushing, forward in that space of the season. But in saying that, I think there's been a couple of players coming in and out, key players. You got the likes of someone like a Tegan Bertolicio that's generally a left back playing in that central role, more so for Canberra as well.
The goal they scored at the weekend already came after they were 2-0 down. So they grabbed 1 goal back. There's still a bit of hope. And then we saw Uchendu come off the bench and score again for Melbourne City. And, I mean, given how good Sally James is at her best, they would be really disappointed that she got beaten to that corner by 18 Keane, and there wasn't much she could do about the Uchendu goals after that. So, fine margins. I mean, Canberra in a one-off elimination or knockout final, a 2-legged semi-final against Melbourne City, they'd fancy their chances again. But as far as finishing top and winning the premiership goes, this one was a bit of a hammer blow.
Absolutely, and I think they've got plenty of players that can actually put them in really good spot. Olasino, for instance, I absolutely loved watching her play. She's really, she's got little combination plays in and around the box and can really hit a ball from anywhere, and I've really loved her in this league as well.
We'll also be looking forward to Saturday night, because at 5 o'clock, before the Tillies take to the pitch, you can warm up with a crucial one out west, with a 6th place Perth hosting 7th placed Mariners. It's hard to nail down the form of either team, Knowles, because Perth found some spark with Roller Batawira, but missed out on the points against Adelaide at the end of it.
Again, you've got to take your chances, and if you don't take your chances in the match, you're not going to be able to get the 3 points. And it's a fantastic finish here by Roller Batawira. You can see she's been absolutely phenomenal for Perth this season as well, and it's been a great pick-up for Stephen Peters there. But I just think they just didn't have enough to get it over the line with Adelaide United. And again, another team that's probably been really inconsistent with their performances as well.
I mean, this was a heartbreak for Megan Wynne. She comes back from her ACL. First game back, nearly scores a goal. Hadn't scored for a very long time before coming to Australia, playing as a winger in England. So unfortunate that Perth couldn't get the equaliser, and they'd be disappointed with how they let that slip. But the key for this game against the Mariners is, what does the Perth midfield do about Izzy Gomez? They've lost Onyenechi Zog to a red card, so they'll be thinking, do we have to put Tian McKenna in centre-back again? Do we put Misha Anderson in centre-back? But I think it's even further up the field. And, the games of, Georgia Cassidy and Izzy Dalton, how they deal with Gomez, Emma Tovar as well, providing protection to what could potentially be another makeshift backline, now that we know that Zog's not going to be there.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Stephen Peters, right? You lose a player like Zog, who's been a key of their defence this season as well, and that's what happens when you need to sort of make shift. But you can see the likes of Dalton. I think Tovar as well has done a fantastic job as that number 6 role, really been able to dictate play in build-up, but also in defence has been fantastic as well. But to try and stop the likes of someone like an Izzy Gomez is probably always quite difficult.
They're both quite fiery characters. I think whoever gets the yellow card out of Tovar and Gomez first, they will then become the underdog in the game, and their team will then have the odds against them in the game.
Let's talk about Izzy Gomez then, because the Mariners already hit pretty hard when, training camp for under-20s Asian Cup hits like Peter Trimmis, Tiana Fuller, Avani Prakash. But how much do they rely and how much rests on Gomez in these final matches of the season, Teo?
Well, it was this time last season where she came into her own and arrested a slump and took them into the top 6 at all, and then that continued into the finals and obviously parlayed into a first ever Matildas cap. So, you know, April is Izzy Gomez's month. Yeah, we're getting to the end of March, start of April, and this is where she comes into her own. But this season, the Mariners need her just as much as ever.
100%. You know that a Mariners without Izzy Gomez is always going to be a difficult one as well. And I think Avani Prakash has been doing well for them as well. But also the likes of Peter Trimmis, you know, been absolutely killing it on that wing. But, you know, you've got to also mention the loss of Annalise Rasmussen is a huge loss for the Central Coast Mariners as well.
Great to see some vision of her training for Juve this week online. Let's move to a couple of teams who are on the outside looking in. Brisbane and the Jets, both in striking distance of 6th with a win. So what's the key matchup on this one?
Well, Brisbane's on a 4-game losing streak at the moment, but they made a very interesting selection choice in their loss to Wellington at the weekend. They did not risk Bente Janssen. They left her in cotton wool as a precaution to take on this particular game. Now, when they last met, Newcastle won 3-0 and Janssen was actually subbed off again with a precaution at half-time. So what do you make of that, Nors? Because it's going to be Janssen for the Roar in midfield up against a Newcastle team that has Sophie Hoban coming into form, Emma Dundas about to go away with the young Matildas and killing it at the moment, and a Jets team that'll be feeling good after a good win against Sydney FC.
I think that's a bit of a difficult decision there. I'm not sure where that decision sort of came from, but it's not an easy one. You don't want to be leaving out players at this point of the season as well.
Some good news for Brisbane, though. Tamika Yallop coming off the bench, only about 10 minutes in this match, but good to see her back and playing, and a timely boost for Brisbane.
Yeah, look, I mean, Raw was still winning games initially in that phase without Tamika Yallop, and then they perhaps got to Kualamu's injury and Kruger's injury, and eventually they hit the tipping point. Now, Kruger's back, Yallop's back. Obviously, Kualamu is not coming back. Angie Beard is probably going to miss this game because the Philippines still have their World Cup playoff on Thursday, and win or lose, I don't think they're going to get released and turned around in time to play on the weekend. So still some pretty big absentees, and the leadership of Yallop might be what they need in this game.
Absolutely. Tamika Yallop really brings that leadership to the Brisbane Roar, and they've really been riddled with injuries this season, and you have to give it to Alex and the whole team. They've really done everything that they could possibly do. They've changed formations. They've been able to, you know, field players, and it goes to show the credit to the team and the mentality to be able to still, you know, be fighting for a top 6 spot as well. But just in that footage to see Tamika Yallop back on the pitch, it's just so nice to see that.
Good news story for Tamika Yallop, and another good news story coming out of the Brisbane Roar this week. The Iranian players who took humanitarian visas here in Australia have been seen training with the Brisbane Roar. So good to see them out there on the field in action and keeping up their football skills.
Yeah, and Melbourne Victory did something similar with the Afghan women's national team, and even took that program under their wing for an entire winter season in the lower Victorian state leagues, and Brisbane Roar doing something similar here with a fantastic gesture and creating a great club environment for those two players to come and train in.
Absolutely. All right, a couple of quick ones to close out the round. The Wanderers hosting City. This looks like an absolute mismatch on the table, Knowles, but we do know the Wanderers knocked off City back in February.
They did, but I think it's going to be a tough one now, knowing that they don't have much to play for. I think now it's just about playing for pride, but it's going to be a difficult game for the Wanderers leading into this, given that Melbourne City is still playing for a championship. What
piece of skill is Talia Eunice going to pull out this week? Also, have you seen anything in some of the young Matildas camps that suggests that she has even more tricks in the kit bag to try and surprise Melbourne City with?
To let you in on a little bit with Talia Eunice, I can just tell you every minute of the day she has a ball, a tennis ball, something at her feet that she's trying to juggle. She's the first one on the pitch that grabs a ball straight away. But to be able to see her being able to, you know, really express herself on the pitch, it's just beautiful to see for me as a former striker as well, and someone that used to love expressing herself and not defend either. She has to defend these days. But to see her and to also see her brother as well, if you look at both of them, there's so many similarities between between the two. They've got such a close bond, but to see Talia being able to execute some of these things that she does on the pitch, it's beautiful to see.
Fearless and with fancy feet, she certainly is. Someone else who had pretty good feet on the weekend, a brace for Nigerian import Chinaza Nchendu against Canberra Teo. She's quite a weapon for City, 2 goals in 4 minutes, I think it was, heading into the finals, and if she can get this form up, it's good news all round.
And she's built into this season, and I think City have had the luxury of being able to allow her to build into the season because her game time had been pretty limited, and she's just pulled out an absolute worldie there, shown us what she can do. City without Holly McNamara, but 18 Keane, arguably the best player in the league in the last 5 weeks. I know you said that Trimmis might be the best player in the league. I would take 18 Keane. If I needed someone to score me a goal this weekend, that's who I would choose. And Uchendu, now, this is sort of the trajectory of coming into finals. City haven't had that player who has been able to win them a grand final. They've fallen in the finals every year, often in heartbreaking fashion. Maybe this is the difference maker that they need.
It really could be the difference maker, and someone like Uchendu that is also brings that flair to a game as well. It's just great to see her being able to build into this season, but you can see exactly what she's got, and she's a true prolific goal scorer as well.
And a good dancer.
Great dancer.
As we saw after that game. Finally, Sydney FC welcomed Wellington to Leichhardt on Friday. 7-0 last time out, an absolute demolition, Knowles. How much confidence do you have that we won't see a repeat of that scoreline?
I don't think we're going to see a repeat of that scoreline. You can see already that Sydney FC have really started to, change their ways in terms of the way that they set up. But I'm sure that James will have them really, as a tight knit. I know that they don't have much to play for, but I think given, where Sydney FC is sort of sitting at the moment, not knowing if there's what coach is going to take over, whether James will take over as the head coach role in a permanent position. I think now they're also playing for positions next season as well.
Don't forget, Willa Pearson is suspended for this game, and she missed the 7-0. That was actually the first game that she missed. So they've got concerns. They're running out of players, Sydney FC. They had to put 2 goalkeepers on the bench last weekend. Kirsty Fenton and also Shay Holman are close to coming back, but even then, will they be ready to do anything other than come back via the bench? You say it may not be a similar scoreline to last time. Wellington are hot at the moment. I think it could be a similar number of goals for Wellington. I just think Sydney will play a more attacking style and take the game on. We could get a tennis score, something like 7-5, 6-4. You just never know, and I think that makes it a very compelling game to watch.
I think we just need to ask Bev Priestman, because I'm pretty sure before that game she told us that they were in for a hiding, so perhaps we'll get her prediction before the game. And now, Nils, I have a question for you, because you and I both didn't mind a bit of argy-bargy on the field as players, but what did you make of this interaction on the weekend between Josie Allen and Riley Tanner?
I think you can see here both are a little bit heated. Josie puts her arm out for Tanner and just sort of gives her the little, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here and pull your hand back and then give you a little one just to throw you back down.
She's another one that's been in Young Matildas camp, Josie Allen. Has she given that sort of, low five to anyone or, greeted you in a similar fashion, Knowles? Or?
She wouldn't dare do that to me, Teo.
Oh, fantastic.
But she does. She does have a firecracker sort of personality, and you can see that the way she plays. She wears her heart on her sleeve, Josie Allen. Every time she gets the ball, you can see she wants to run at players at speed. She's so physical, but again, a player that really wears her heart on her sleeve and gives it everything, and a little bit cheeky as well.
I don't mind a bit of cheek, I can tell you. It's all good from here. Let's get a quick tip on the match of the round for the week ahead. Which game are you most looking forward to?
Gee, that's tough. I am looking forward to Brisbane-Newcastle because it's not quite an elimination final, but, Newcastle would want to win anything other than a win, and they will be needing favourable results all the way through to the end of the home and away to not be eliminated. So basically, season on the line for them as they go to Spencer Park.
I think for me it's Canberra and Adelaide, two teams that really are going to be going head-to-head, and it'll be great to see if Canberra United can really bounce back this weekend.
And if they can contain Erin Healy as well. Teo Pellizzeri, Catherine Cannuli, that's all we have time for on the show today. Thank you so much for your input and insight.
Thank you.
Don't forget, we'll be back again next Monday to recap the big one, the AFC Asian Cup final. Australia, let's hope it's you, and we're backing you all the way. But until then, I'm Amy Duggan. Enjoy the week. Goodbye.